Ahem. Okay, I stepped on a joke yesterday, so as my punishment, I will not tell a joke today.
Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, one half a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us.
Because on this show, we don't do retakes.
Every minute, every second.
We just dwell on it forever. And ever. Hey everybody, this is our Help Yourself podcast. So what do I do? What am I doing here? I am helping the average person. Why? Because I am average, but I've been average for longer than you have. So people look at me, it's weird. They think I am super successful because they see me going to an office. They see me at times. I don't have a bunch of employees, but I've had a few employees over the years, and I've been doing different things, and they see that and they're like, wow, you're a hard worker, this, that, and the other. And my thesis is, if I could do it, anybody could do it. Where have we heard that before? We've heard that from very successful people that are wired, people that have great brains. So to me, when it's like a race car driver saying, boy, if I could, win this race, anybody can. Well, yeah, you're sponsored by Chevy. You've been racing since you were a kid. You have talent and, luck of the Irish, where I truly am an average person, and that actually I am below average. As far as school smarts go, I was taking a test for Home Depot, and I walked out on the math test because my anxiety just got to me, and it was simple math, as you know. My spelling is, I will break out in a cold sweat if my daughter says spell I, because I'll say, oh, I know there's a few different I's, and she'll make fun of me anyway. Even if I spell it correctly, she'll say I didn't spell it correctly just to get a ruse out of me. But I am not gifted in academia, and here I surround myself with really smart people. At the food company I have, it's a startup company, and I sit down at a table, and what it is people say things, and then I start thinking about, oh my gosh, how am I speaking well? Am I this? Am I that? And the other? And you think, oh, well, why are you even there? Aha. Contraire move for it. Here's where life happens, is I am thankfully wise enough to have finally caught on that if you're not a good something, you only have so many checker pieces, and you just put a checkerboard in front of you. And if you are wise enough to realize, okay, you cannot have all the pieces to cover the whole board. We all get so many. And my old analogy is, if a guy pulls up in a hot rod, oh, everybody wants a hot rod now. And then, on the way home, you see a guy that walking down the sidewalk and he works out. And you're like, oh, I want to be buff like that guy. And then you get home, and then you see the, your neighbor has a perfectly manicured yard. It looks like a farmhouse, like, oh man, I want a manicure. Well, every one of those persons has their checkerboards on those pieces, and they get their 15 minutes. Let's say the lawn guy, the guy that has a really nice house and yard and blah blah blah. He gets his exposure when people drive by or people visit, and everybody says yeah. But when he goes to the car show, everybody just, says, hey, what a loser, you're green thumb, why don't you be a monkey wrencher like me? And then everybody likes the car guy at the car show. And then, when you can accept that, hey, I will get my 15 minutes, it's not now. And then you appreciate other people's 15 minutes. And then that's how life becomes rich, because now you're fulfilling that person by giving them compliments and appreciating their car and enjoying that. And you can't do it if you're trying to be the man, So, it's another thing too, is you start to have people around you that really like you, because you're not trying to do what they're doing. You're just appreciating what they got. Sure, if there's hobbies or whatever, do the same thing. But what happens if you're like me, then you want to start doing every damn hobby. You got a garage full of dirt bikes and scuba equipment, and it just goes on and on and on. I mean, I'm getting anxiety just thinking about it. And the mountain biking and snowboarding and blah 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 blah. And then it's sure I love doing all that, but I think that's why God invented your 20s. You can do it in your 20s when you're not trying to do a business or run a family. But as you get older, you need to learn from that. Saying, look, the guy I know, I remember I knew a guy that was super good at, I used to work at Snow Valley. It was a ski resort. And we'd do that in the winter. We'd clean windows up in the mountains in the summer. And in the winter, we would go work at the ski resort. Every once in a while, we'd clean windows in the winter. And oh my gosh, dude, you talk about a fun job. Clean windows in the winter in the mountains. It'd be so cold in some of these new construction homes. You'd wet the window on the inside because it's a new construction, so a lot of them didn't have power yet. And the water would freeze on the glass. So I'd scrape the water off of at this point, the ice. I guess if you're scraping water, you got issues. So I'd scrape the ice off of the glass, and I'd go to have to clean again, but I'm like, wait a minute, it's clean. So I just wet the windows and scrape the ice off, and voila, probably the cleanest window I've ever cleaned. Had a rough start, but I wasn't hugged enough when I was little. I blame it on that. So you become tough. I mean, gosh, man. And at Toyota, I remember that stupid heater didn't work. So our hands would be freezing, and because you're dealing with water and climbing cold aluminum ladders, and you couldn't wear gloves because you had to grab towels and everything, you had to feel if the towel was dry, and because if it was wet, you couldn't touch it to a glass surface, otherwise it would look no bueno. So your hands are cold, and my heater didn't work in my stupid truck, so I'd have to go to the exhaust, start the truck, get the truck warm, just to warm my hands up. Because when you're cold, you don't, as cheap as I was, and as poor as we were growing up, you do not care about money when you're cold. It's like being thirsty, you don't care. The only thing that matters is water. So anyway, yeah, we're tough, and now my mom and dad would probably be brought up on charges because I think I started when I was 17, and the stuff that we would do it's torture. I mean, literally, when you're out there working, we'd be working at night, and I remember we'd take stupid mini blinds down, take them outside, pressure wash them, and it'd freeze. And then now we got this chunk of it's like a mini blind. It's ice trays, and then it's just frozen, and I mean, not too bad, but still just enough to be a mess and a problem, and you're bringing it inside the house. But you know what? It builds character. It makes you tough. And the stuff I go through today, I can handle it because I had a pretty tough upbringing. Like I said, I started washing trucks when I was 13. I did everything else before that. When I ran the gamut with the lawnmower when I was probably in elementary school. I bet I would just I remember I had a lawnmower, trash bags, a broom, and I just go up and down the neighborhood. I'll mow your lawn for $5, and my wife says I'm more Mexican than she is because I used to mow lawns, had a rooster. It goes on and on. So anyway, so I'd go up and down the neighbors, and then every once in a while you get that neighbor will be like, $5 a lawn, sweet. And he'd say, oh, you could do my backyard. And I'll never forget one neighbor. I go in the backyard, and his lawn has not been mowed since, I think the grass stopped growing because grass can only get so long. And so, of course, I'm, okay, here we go, $5, easy money. And then he pushed the lawnmower, bleh, it would just die. And then I'd push it again, it'd just die. You would only get like a few feet, and then it'd just be too much grass. The lawnmower would die. You have to start, get momentum. And when I was done, I remember looking at the yard, and all there was these circles. Just, every few feet, another circle. And, it was horrible. I hated it. And, but that's how you learn. You get tougher. So the next one, you enjoy it. And I learned two things. Is one, learn how to bid a job before you do it. Although when you're starting out, you'll take anything. And the other thing is, what a piece of crap neighbor that was to not, give me a little bit extra and to take advantage of me. But he wasn't bad. It was just, they were smart enough to know then that, hey, if these kids, if it doesn't kill them, it'll make them stronger. And they didn't have the guilt complex like we all have now as parents. And it's weird because I know I'm doing right when I put my kids to the fire a little bit, but it's even I don't want to be judged. I'm so sick of hearing my mother-in-law, God bless her if she's listening, but if I get an email or a phone call from her that says she's listening, I will, I'll kiss the rosary for her. It'd be a miracle. But anyway, I'm not talking trash. It's just the way it is. I know that whatever I do in raising my kids, I will hear backlash because some of them will call her and she'll give them an out. I still love her, but hey, we all have our reputations. I'm sure my name gets thrown around the household a little bit too. That's fine. By the way, I'll see her tonight at the Bible study. So it's not gossip. Gossip is if you do it behind somebody's back. And since nobody really listens to this podcast that I know, well, maybe it is gossip. Maybe I should stop talking about her. So anyway, what were we talking about again? Oh yeah, so we worked our tail off, and we did it in the winter. And I mean, there's a lot of things. I was talking to my wife the other day about the stuff that I used to do when I was little. Like we'd be in hot cars, or my mom would be in Lamps R Us, and I'd be like, oh, it's hot in here. I want to see how wet my face could get, just a little kid. And, my mom would come back to the car and she'd be like, oh my gosh, how come we didn't open the door? And now that would be on the news, but it's a different time. It's not that my mom was bad. Like I said, you judge people for the time that they're in. And that's why it's funny, because here they think, oh, they're bad parents. They weren't. They were just, they went by their instinct, and their instinct said, hey, let the kids kind of give them enough slack so they can kind of figure life out a little bit. And I do try to do that with my kids, but I hear about it constantly. Oh, Brent, he's going to get hurt. Little James is standing on his walker. Yeah, it's probably not a good thing to do, but but I try not to give into the okay, I'm going to raise them different because of things I'm going to hear about and flack, and it's just that balance, because I want to get along with the family too. And the other thing too is if the kids constantly hear like, oh, I'm a bad parent, that'll give them a hang up too. So I'm trying to adjust it to where, okay, if everybody around you says I'm too loose with you guys, I give you guys too much slack, then okay, I'll meet them halfway a little bit. because I don't want my kids to be victims